Why no contact doesn't work on avoidance if you make these mistakes. When people talk about no contact, they describe it like a magic spell. Go silent, pull away, block communication, disappear from their world, and somehow the avoidant will suddenly wake up, panic, miss you, regret everything, and come running back. But when it comes to avoidance, that fantasy collapses fast. Not because no contact doesn't work, no contact can be powerful, but because most people make specific psychological mistakes that neutralize all its impact. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why avoidants don't respond the way you expect, why they sometimes pull even further away, and why, if you make these mistakes, they feel relief instead of longing. We're going deep into the avoidant mind, the way their nervous system interprets distance, and the subtle ways you accidentally sabotage your own value without even knowing it. The first mistake is assuming avoidants respond to space the same way you do. For an anxious or secure person, space creates curiosity, longing, and a desire to reconnect. But for a dismissive avoidant, space feels like safety, not loss. So when you go no contact hoping they'll panic, they don't. Their brain literally interprets your silence as emotional pressure being removed. Instead of thinking, "Where did you go?" they think, "Finally, I can breathe again." You meant your silence to be a message. They interpret it as a break. Because to an avoidant, closeness feels like tension, but distance feels like relief, at least in the beginning. If you don't understand this fundamental truth, your no contact has zero effect. The second mistake is doing no contact with an invisible emotional string attached. You pull away physically, but energetically you're still chasing. You're stalking their socials, checking when they were online, hoping they post something for you. You're not gone, you're just waiting. And avoidance can sense that, even without a single message. When your energy is still pointed at them, no contact doesn't feel like you withdrawing. It feels like you're quietly waiting for them to lead. But avoidants don't step forward just because the pressure is silent. They step forward when they feel you've genuinely moved on with your life. Most people fail here because they think not texting is enough. But avoidants respond to felt detachment, not technical silence. The third mistake is announcing your no contact. Telling an avoidant, "I need space," or "I won't reach out anymore," or "You won't hear from me again," doesn't activate their fear of losing you. It activates their relief that the relationship expectations have decreased. Avoidants don't interpret your announcement as strength. They interpret it as permission. When you declare no contact, what you're really saying to them is, "I'm taking responsibility for the emotional intensity you were trying to escape." So instead of missing you, they simply think, "Good, now the pressure is gone." True no contact doesn't come with a speech. It just happens, quietly, calmly, without ceremony. The fourth mistake you might be making is leaving emotional breadcrumbs, liking their posts, watching their stories instantly, replying to their updates with silence, but still engaging. Avoidants don't miss you when you stay in their digital orbit. They subconsciously categorize you as safe, accessible, and still attached. No tension, no scarcity, no absence. So they don't feel the void because you never created one. Avoidants only feel attraction when there's a genuine shift, when your energy no longer circles around them, when they can't read your emotional temperature. But if they know you're still watching from the shadows, they relax and forget to miss you. The fifth mistake is thinking no contact is punishment. Avoidance can feel emotional threats miles away. If your silence feels like revenge, pressure, or a tactic, they shut down even harder. Instead of missing you, they protect themselves. Instead of longing, they detach. Avoidants don't respond to emotional attempts to make them feel something. They respond to energy that's detached, confident, and self-contained. When your no contact is rooted in pain, desperation, or manipulation, they feel it. When it's rooted in power and self-respect, they feel that too. One repels, the other attracts. The sixth mistake is trying to control the timeline of their emotions. Avoidants don't miss you fast, they miss slowly. Their nervous system works backwards. The more distance they feel, the more comfortable they become. And only after that comfort settles do they begin to feel the loss of what was once stable. That's why most people quit too early. They pull away for a week, don't see a result, and break no contact, sending a message, checking in, or trying to restart intimacy. But at that moment, the avoidant was just beginning to relax enough to feel your absence, and you disrupted the process. Avoidants need more time than you think, and when you rush the timeline, the emotional reset never completes. The seventh mistake is keeping the avoidant on a pedestal while you're in no contact. You're silent, but they are still the center of your world. You replay memories, overanalyze their behaviors, reread old messages, and make them the main character of your inner universe. But no contact only works when you become the main character again. Avoidants only miss people who are living fully, not waiting. When they sense your life has expanded instead of constricted, something unusual happens in their mind. The fear of intimacy weakens, and the fear of losing you rises. That's what flips the dynamic. But when you place them above yourself, even in silence, they don't feel the shift. Because you haven't shifted, you've just muted. The eighth mistake is assuming your silence itself creates attraction. Silence is empty unless you fill it with growth. No contact isn't powerful because you're gone. It's powerful because during that absence, you're evolving. You're healing your attachment wounds. You're rebuilding parts of yourself you abandoned. You're reconnecting with passions, goals, friends, and purpose. Avoidants are attracted to people who feel whole, independent, and emotionally self-governing. When they sense your emotional world is stable without them, something unfamiliar happens inside them. A mix of curiosity, regret, and a subtle desire to re-enter your orbit. But if you go silent and stay stagnant, they feel nothing. The ninth and most destructive mistake is breaking no contact the moment you feel them slipping away. Avoidants don't respond to panic. They respond to calm detachment. When you chase after silence, they retreat further. When you reinitiate after they haven't reached out, you confirm their core fear, that intimacy equals pressure, and you need more than they can give. No contact loses its power the moment you reach out because it tells the avoidant, I'm still emotionally dependent on your attention. The impact of your absence disappears instantly. The 10th mistake is not understanding the real purpose of no contact. People think it's a strategy to make someone miss you, but that's not its real function. No contact is for you. It's to break your emotional addiction to the cycle. It's to restore your sense of self. It's to stop outsourcing your happiness to someone who fears closeness. When you use no contact as bait, it fails. When you use it as healing, it transforms everything. And paradoxically, that's what finally makes an avoidant feel your loss. They sense the emotional system that once revolved around them is now self-sufficient. So here's the truth. No contact can work on avoidance, but only if you do it correctly. It works when silence is not empty, but empowered. When you don't use it to provoke a reaction, but to rebuild yourself. When you aren't waiting for them, but walking your own path. Avoidants fall for strength, not strategies. They are drawn to people who don't need them, but choose them. And no contact only becomes magnetic when it comes from a place of genuine evolution, when your absence has weight, depth, and purpose. If you stop making these mistakes, something shifts. The avoidant begins to think, why haven't they reached out? Why do I feel something missing? Did I misjudge their attachment? Did I lose something valuable? And that moment, when their internal story changes, is when no contact finally works. Not because you were silent, but because you grew.